My point is the common labor moving boxes, loading boxes on trucks can make more money than an optician. It's
Right.
because the union is so strong.
Because they organized. That is completely true. Welcome to Optometry Profits Revealed with Peter Pratt. Today we're here to welcome Josh Cook. He is the president of the Opticians Association of Pennsylvania. He's an optician owner of his own shop at Optical On Point. He's got a bachelor's degree in English and 15 years in the optical industry. You also work at the Delaware Vision Academy. We'll talk a little bit about integrating that with your practice work as well. Thank you so much, Josh. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for inviting me, Peter. It's great to be here. You've got a great radio voice.
I've been told it kind of rolls off my tongue. I didn't realize that until I began this, but it is. It's enjoyable. It's fun to do this. It sounds easy. It comes off, out of my mouth the way it should. Without any further ado, let's roll into what we wanted to talk about. And for lack of better terms, speak to the mission of the Opticians Association of Pennsylvania, and then we're going to interrelate that with a few other things.
Sure, that's probably as far as scope, that's probably the biggest project I'm involved in right now. So at the beginning of this year, 2023, there was no Opticians Association in a state that, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, has 3,000 working opticians. I moved here, I think in 2012, I want to say.
Right.
And at the time, I was working at VisionWorks in South Carolina. Before I moved, I was apprenticed to a licensed optician in South Carolina. I had passed my ABO. I had completed a career progression program from National Academy of Opticianry. So I think I was like a year into the apprenticeship. So I was on my way to becoming a license, moved to Pennsylvania, and that all stopped because there was no formal organization for opticians. So I wish I'd done something about it at that time, but I didn't.
And there's no connection because, like you said, there was nothing here. Certainly nothing connecting at a national level, let alone an interstate level. So
anyway, years later, I'm at a point in my life where I kind of made a mindset shift from can't to how. And rather than simply accepting that there was no Opticians Association in Pennsylvania, I said, well, what can we do about that? And I started getting connected with people that helped. The Opticians Association of America. I have a friend in Ohio, John Bruning. And then I went to the Opticians Association of America's Leadership Conference, which was in Asheville, North Carolina last year. And Donna Hatch and President Debbie Bartlett, they all started getting behind this idea of bringing Opticians Association back to Pennsylvania. And so we actually, shortly after the Leadership Conference, we had like a grassroots. Actually, it was our first grassroots meeting to see who was interested in helping was before the Leadership Conference. And then I was sworn in as president at the Opticians Association of America Leadership Conference.
Cool.
And since that time, awesome people like Peter and people have just, a lot of people, probably the thing I've heard the most is, we've been needing to do this. I've been thinking about doing this. I'm so glad you're doing this. How can I help? I've heard that a lot from people around the state and highly qualified people with lots of experience. I'm really the least qualified person, but I happen to be the guy who put himself out there and said, this needs to exist. But so our first several months, we really had a lot of meetings and hammered out what we are and why we are. So I'll just read what we developed out of that. Our vision is what we see as an organization and see for opticians in Pennsylvania. And the vision of the Opticians Association of Pennsylvania is to connect and inspire professional opticians statewide and nationwide. We will continue to shape opticianry's role so it remains indispensable in an evolving industry.
Absolutely. And one of the things we always keep coming back to, and a theme that we're going to embrace, when we do have a conference, is empowering opticians. That gets a little lost in some of the shuffle because, obviously there's different empowerment means different things in different places, but it basically having a little more control over your profession is about the best way to put it in my mind. That is empowering in my mind.
My focus is we are by and for opticians, and probably the biggest reason we exist in my mind is because who else is advocating for opticians? I mean, this
Right.
is Pennsylvania's a union state, and like
It is.
UPS just threatened to strike, have a labor, and
FedEx.
what they negotiate for their. I could go. In fact, I did. Before I opened my practice, I wanted to have a source of revenue that so I could leave my work since there was no guarantee when I opened up Optical on Point. So I
Right.
went and started loading brown trucks at UPS from like 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. Yeah, like almost killed myself for about a month, but
Not something you could do with that baby.
my point is the common labor moving boxes, loading boxes on trucks can make more money than an optician. And it's
Right.
because the union is so strong.
Because they organized. No, that is completely true. Organization, for lack of oversimplifying, they came together. They came together and they had basic requirements, basic needs, basic wants that were going to be met, and they were going to be met, or the work wasn't going to be done. And I get that. I can relate to that. I mean, and you know what? We're going to talk about it in a second, but better together, couldn't be more true than what you just described. They ended up having a better together moment because at some point they did come together.
That's our motto at Opticians Association of Pennsylvania. We're better together. Way to bring that in, Peter. And the other thing I'll say, I'll read our mission. Opticians Association of Pennsylvania believes the professional optician's role as a craftsman is indispensable in the eye care and eyewear delivery system. We strive to empower our members by providing them with a platform for connection, opportunities, and professional development. And that was my story. 10 years ago when I moved to Pennsylvania, there wasn't something here for me. And I think that needs to be here. Like Pennsylvania should be leading the way. Definitely not have nothing at all.
I agree. I completely agree with you. Hey, so far along on this journey, because like you said, we've been meeting routinely through the spring, and it took a little bit of a break when we hit summer because we accomplished a lot of stuff, to be quite frank with you. What do you think's been the biggest surprise? And then we'll kind of elaborate on that. What's been easy? Because there have been parts of it that, I mean, for me looking in from your shoes, the website development was like, we're really blessed that we have the ease of that taking place. And what's not been so easy?
People have surprised me from both directions. And I probably shouldn't have been surprised by either one, but I've been surprised that people with extremely high level of expertise, people with extremely valuable time, people with excellent credentials have just come in and volunteered because they believe in opticianry, they believe in opticians, they believe in the value of what we do. And I've been overwhelmed by that, like just amazed at like, wow. And it's not about me, but I'm a part of it. So it just feels really good that the overwhelming positive response from really quality people.
Right.
So in a way that surprised me. But also the other thing about people that surprised me, and I see this as one of the biggest problems in opticianry, is I think opticianry would be further ahead if we could get along better. That's what we're forming our association on, is we're better together. And even here in the early days, there's been disagreement. And you're going to have disagreement when anytime you work with other people. But
Right.
in Opticians Association of Pennsylvania, we have taken the idea of, it's not that I have to be right. If I have a really passionate idea that I think is correct, but that idea gets taken and changed as a part of a committee or final vote, that it's really not my idea. It's something, maybe my idea initiated, but it became something else, something different. Like our logo, for example.
Right.
I put time into in a logo, but then that logo is not what the board voted on to approve. Um, but we took our mindset from I have to be right to we have to be right. And if by working together with other people that's improved, we're better together, that's fine with me. I don't care about I'm not right. I care that we as a group, as an organization, as a profession are right. And I think that's one of the biggest things that are holding opticians back, is we can't agree amongst ourselves enough to move forward.
That's a little microcosm story of what excellent leadership's about. I mean, it's not, it's about the bigger picture. It isn't about you. And it's so much easier to say than to actually do, because how much of everything we do is about us? I mean, it isn't. Everything that we want to do comes back to our own personal interests, and we know this, and that's ingrained in us. But when you see genuine leadership be able to push certain things aside to see that clear picture that involves way more than you and even the people that are around us right now, you know, you couldn't be more accurate, I think. And I'm going to take it a step further and say that the people that are on the board of the Opticians Association of Pennsylvania are the most amazing people I've come across in quite some time. Um, their contributions are jaw dropping. Charlie, Susan. Oh my gosh, I
Harry
could
with the
go.
website and volunteering,
Harry,
and these are people with full-time jobs,
right,
a lot heavy demands on their time. Like,
right,
nobody has time for this,
right,
but we're
and
all
here they
volunteering.
are. Right,
Probably, I mean, we have something going on with Opticians Association of Pennsylvania every week of the month. We have
right,
board meetings first Monday of the month. We have a committee meeting second Tuesday of the month. That
right,
your committee, membership
right.
committee, of which Peter is the chair.
Yep. And we just merged with convention because that's what we ought to be doing at this point, now that we've done an official launch. And then you and I have talked about other types of communication that we're going to bring to the table and see what works. We have some nice roadmaps with other associations that we can work with, what they've done or what they're doing.
We don't have to
But
reinvent the wheel here.
nope, we don't.
We
really
have
don't.
Donna Hatch has been huge with that.
Right.
Because she works with a number of associations, and a lot of it's just taking the template, taking the format, and then applying it with the people, the boots on the ground team that you have in each local place.
Right. It's the truth. It depends on where it is. One of the coolest things, and you and I talked about this before, one of the coolest things about the sessions that I've been a part of, listening in on, to the National, Opticians Association of America, they're always focused on education first. It comes back to education first. I know for myself, from the day that I got involved with the Opticians Association of Pennsylvania to today, I've almost done a complete 180 from this stomp and pound need for licensure to, whoa, education is the road to get there. When you understand that and you begin to see that, and then you see the network of education that's available to us, it's, then it becomes a little eye opening, and you realize what we're
so
really
key.
about.
We all want to be better at our job, so right. Even you and I just attended a continuing ed meeting, which was really a fundraiser for the OAP, but you and I both came away inspired and encouraged as opticians as a result of being a part of that meeting.
Right.
And then it's going to we're not going to accomplish anything significant of value, which, I don't disagree that licensure ultimately is a good goal, but we need to be connected. We need to have a group that um, can do that. That's a down the road goal of. But right away, we can connect and inspire opticians. We can help educate opticians. We
Right.
can advocate for opticians. But we got to build the building blocks of getting the people connected, getting opticians connected. Um,
Demonstrating that the continuing education is a genuine commitment. It's the very first thing that we rolled out. Like you said, we participated in that right away, literally, 6 weeks after we rolled out membership.
One of the biggest things I'm excited about
Awesome.
is we're going to have nerd sessions every third Tuesday of the month, where
Yep.
an average Joe optician, Josh, working down at VisionWorks, 10 years ago as a rookie optician, and has questions about anything that comes up in the normal workday, I can go and I can be connected to some real industry experienced experts, and I can just come in, no judgment, no CEs, and just ask my questions.
Right.
And anybody can come to that.
It's awesome. I mean, and it's needed, the not just the hands-on, but we have this constant wave of new technology, not just with frames. Lord knows there's lens technology that is just blowing my mind away. That's being rolled out right now. Just for the digital mid stuff is jaw-droppingly clear. I mean,
that's a cool thing about opticianry. You can just the math, like in the class by Tina Lati, talking about IoT lenses. She says every lens that's generated, it's basically like a supercomputer that's doing that. The compensation in the lens, etc. Right. So if you're trying to verify that math by hand, forget it.
Right.
So
I mean, here I am trying to wrap my head around a visual acuity booster point, and she's explaining to me this whole other wave of mapping. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm already 2 generations behind in my understanding of digital lens technology.
There's a quote about chess. It's an old Indian saying. Chess is a ocean at which an elephant may bathe and a gnat may drink. And the point is, it's just so big and deep that you can get into it at an incredibly deep level, like an elephant taking a bath, or just like a gnat taking a drink at a very small level. But like, it's so much bigger than even that. So that the quote is about chess, but I think it also applies to opticianry. There's just so much you can learn and do in the field.
Totally. I completely agree with that. And, to me, the definition of what an optician is, it's a combination of artistry, design, hand and eye skill, craftsmanship, bedside manner. And those are just things that are on top of the basic skills of an optician, understanding a prescription, a frame, lenses, lens enhancements. Those are 2 very different characteristics, but they're integral to being a truly skilled and gifted optician. That takes time to understand. It takes experience. It takes caring about what you do, the people that you're working with, and when this stuff comes together, it can be transferred down. It can be, the teaching can be more genuine. The teaching can be real. States that have this in place, or they're putting it in place, like we just did, they have a huge advantage on places that don't. There are 22 states that have, licensing, I think,
or the pay. I mean,
over half the states don't. Over half the states don't have associations, just opticians associations in general.
That's terrible. That's anybody in the industry, when you look at like the fact that half the states don't even have an opticians association, That's unacceptable. Like we all, I don't care what state you're in, if your state has an association or not, everybody needs to be getting involved in one way or the other to
I
make that a reality.
I completely agree with you. And to take that one step even further down the road, now is the time to do it. Because you can make these associations on your own terms based on your state, where you are, your demographics, your cities, your populace, what you need, what's going to work for you. But do it now, because if you want to be organizing proactively as opposed to reactively, otherwise you're the cleanup crew, and you weren't even invited to the party. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you're standing there in front of a patient who ordered a set of glasses online, and they're explaining to you that they can't see out of them. Well, there's an opportunity for you to say, I'm going to help you, but here's how I'm going to help you. And you hand them the business card, and you encourage remote engagement, and you're going to push that remote engagement, and you're going to say, hey, take a kit like this, put our frames in it, engage remotely with me, and do this the right way, so that this doesn't happen for you, so that you don't have a set of glasses that are absolutely useless. Now your clear vision has just been pushed back another 3 weeks. This didn't have to happen. So fix this, do it the right way, have remote engagement work in a way that it functions for all parties, that it helps the practice close a sale when they wouldn't be able to do that. It's a huge tool to put in your toolkit. Josh, this has been a fantastic discussion. Did you have anything that you wanted to add on top of what we were just talking about?
Every time I start thinking about this, I get excited about where opticianry can be and what opticianry can do. And I've seen that way too many times where someone came into me recently at my store and they did not get expert care at the place they'd been before. And I made them a set of lenses and they worked great for them. And they actually brought me 2 additional pair and bought lenses for those as well, because of the difference of my glasses worked so much better for them.
Right. And now anybody they mention that to.
Well, you touched on it a minute ago. Like we're somewhere there's a failure if a patient ends up with a pair of glasses that are of no value, that are of no use.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of ways that can happen, but it shouldn't happen. And who keeps that from happening? Opticians.
Absolutely.
So
because where the clarity, where the rubber meets the road in terms of clear vision, there's an optician.
Or even if it's just, because this person always takes them off to see the computer or whatever, and they hate progressive.
Right.
It's that comprehensive care where an optician is going to think of everything, and they're going to get the fitting height right. They're gonna do those things that a computer's not going to do, that a machine's not going to measure, that a layperson is not going to know what questions to ask. It's going to be an optician, and you need an optician who's connected, so that if they don't know the answer, they can show up at the nerd session on a Tuesday night and get the answer from somebody who's been in the industry 30 years and can do the math in their head.
Well, and you're right. And this comes right back to us being better together, because the more together we are, the more we can critically analyze what technology we want to use to embrace where we're going to stand. There are some digital measurements that are fantastic right now and highly reliable, but what advice is taking place as far as the prescription, the frame, and the lens enhancements?
Are we making single vision, near vision only, intermediate vision only? Are we doing like an office type lens? Are we doing a conventional progressive? Right. That's a conversation where an optician is going to think through the patient's needs, and ultimately land them in. That's the kind of thing that no matter how you're ordering your glasses, those things need to be thought through. And I've had the conversation literally hundreds of times with hundreds of patients, and they don't know the right factors to consider. people come in all the time and tell me they want red Versace glasses. And my response is, do you want red Versace glasses? Or do you want glasses that are going to look and work great? That's my response.
Right.
Because you
Right.
know, it's just a tragedy, and it happens way too often where, you know, they get the glasses and the glasses end up in a drawer, you know, whatever they paid for them, and they're not able to be used because
Right. And to me that's so wrong. Anytime, like you said to just a couple seconds ago, anytime there's a set of glasses that aren't working, it's a failure. It's the industry
somewhere along the
failed.
line,
Yep.
it could be the RX was
Yep.
wrong. It could be
Yep.
the optician, the salesperson was motivated by financial rather than by you know,
that does happen. Or the example I always come back to is the overworked optician who is trying to be professional, but oh my gosh, there's a line of people getting their contacts. There's a line of people that want to get sunglasses, and the doctors are rolling their fingers on the desk. And guess what? Our conversation's over. Here's the one pair you're being fit with. Bye. And that was a person who was ready to probably drop blah 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 on 4 pairs of glasses. But no, that can't happen. You know, because that got pushed through. You know, take the time for the one-on-ones. You know, use remote engagement that suits you the way that it's going to work for yourself and the practice and the patient. You know, it should be a tool in your toolkit, not something to replace anybody. You know, that's not what it's about. Well, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate your time. And I fully look forward to speaking to other leaders as we move forward. And I'd like to talk with you down the road because I'm curious to talk a little bit more. We talked about it before, but we didn't really get deeply into it in this discussion about what it's like to be working at Delaware Vision Academy and running your own shop 3 days a week. That's quite engaging. And you know, what's there for you? What are the obstacles, the tools? What are the successes? You know, how do you make those steps to being there full time? You know, and document that. You know, keep a roadmap of it, because that situation exists for a lot of opticians, Josh. They want to know, and I want to know too. So if you have an opportunity to document that, and we could check back in on that, I think that would be an awesome topic and an awesome show to go through.
Final thought on that, just to touch briefly. You know, it's valuable to see. Again, we're better together. I don't think any office can improve.
Right.
So, you know, it's valuable to see what the way one office does things and compare and contrast that with another, you know, private practice. Because probably they both have some best practices that one's doing, the other is not, and they could both improve themselves by learning from one another. And one way you can do that is by working at, one way you'll see that is working at different places.
I would agree completely. You know, because you can learn so much working at a Sam's Club. You can learn so much in a Walmart environment. You know, opticians are skilled. They know what they're doing, and the more they do it, the more they learn. It's, you know, it's not where your feet are. It's how you care about your profession and the way you carry yourself and what you do, the way you take care of people, the way you listen, the way you deliver. You know, to me, that's largely what it's about if you're going to be a good optician. Hey, thank you so much for this. Again, what a wonderful discussion. I look forward to discussing with you in the future some more of that journey. If you can document it, I think that would be wonderful. Thanks again, Josh. Really appreciate it. This has been another episode of Optometry Profits Revealed with Peter Pratt. If what we've talked about has had any impact or interest to you, please visit iseeclearly.com and submit an inquiry. We'll have a free consultation with you and determine whether what products we offer are going to be ideal for your staff and you and the practice. Thank you so much, everybody. Take good care.